tea, but it's gonna be chamomile because y'all need to chill the fuck out. The WGA wrapped their 11th week on the picket lines on Friday. Meanwhile, SAG-AFTRA just kicked off their strike. On Friday, SAG-AFTRA members in both LA and New York joined WGA members on the picket line, this time in an official capacity. Though remember, SAG has been marching alongside the WGA in solidarity for the last 76 days. The studios were hectic. One of these days I'll get around to editing all the footage. This caused everyone on the internet to spiral for 48 hours. So, SAG-AFTRA has now posted their FAQs for influencers, so please go read these for yourselves. I want to bring your attention to this one because people keep asking me, am I allowed to promote a struck work on social media as a fan and not in a paid capacity? Influencers should refrain from posting on social media about any struck work, regardless of whether they are posting organically or in a paid capacity. And if that hurts your feelings, the reality is you should have pivoted your content 3 months ago when the WGA went on strike. It's why I have not posted about TV or film for 3 months, even though I'm dying inside to do so. You've kind of been crossing a picket line this entire time. But I digress, and let's move forward. It started early when the cast of Oppenheimer walked away from the premiere in order to prepare for the strike. Once the strike was officially called, we saw a rapid shutdown of the few remaining productions, including Deadpool 3. Now remember, the majority of productions had already shut down due to the WGA strike, and the ones that were continuing were doing so under somewhat ethically dubious circumstances. Cough Ryan Reynolds, cough Ryan Murphy. As a reminder, the writers' rooms for the fall lineup for networks typically start the first week of June, which means every week beyond that, that's a week that the fall lineup has been delayed. At this point, there isn't going to be much of a fall lineup. Because now that SAG-AFTRA has also gone on strike, things that they were planning to fill airtime with, like reality shows and game shows, will also be impacted. Which is why you're seeing more streaming shows get pulled to run on the networks. Ms. Marvel will run on ABC next month. We already saw this happen with Reservation Dogs running on FX. This begs the question, if these shows are running on networks now, wouldn't they be entitled to the full residuals because network residuals are way more than what streaming residuals have been? And if the studios are willing to pay it for that, why don't they just pay the residuals and let's end this whole thing anyway? It's a good question to which the AMPTP doesn't really have an answer. Streaming residuals are a core issue for both the WGA and SAG-AFTRA. What used to amount to hundreds or thousands of dollars in residuals is now bringing in literal pennies. As a SAG-AFTRA member, to get and maintain your health insurance, you have to earn at least $26,000 a year. 87% of union members don't qualify for this. That means the minimum pay is too low, and a similar issue is happening within the WGA. These are Kamiko's residuals from Orange is the New Black, which basically launched Netflix. $27.30. We've seen notable celebrities share their 1-cent checks from streaming residuals. And on Friday, Sean Gunn, who played Kirk on Gilmore Girls, gave an interview where he talked about not really getting residuals from Gilmore Girls streaming on Netflix, despite the fact that it's one of the most streamed shows on the platform. Residuals are not just a fun bonus thing. They are literally crucial to making sure that both actors and writers have an income during the long periods of time where they are not working. Screenwriters, unlike other types of writing such as authors, relinquish their copyright when they make a show, and in return they are meant to be getting residuals, but that hasn't really been happening. Netflix was in the news a few weeks ago when it came out that the Squid Game contract meant that they didn't get any residuals as part of that deal. It's fundamentally exploitive. That's why these streamers don't want to have to be transparent about their viewership data. They want to be able to continue to exploit people. Why 2 of the most powerful unions in Hollywood are now on strike. Do not forget, this is not just about actors and writers. We are in the middle of a huge labor movement. Unite Here Local 11, the hotel workers in Southern California, are also still on strike, and the WGA joins their picket lines as well. By the way, y'all, in the black shirt, this is Fatima. She's a WGA, guild staff. She's a labor organizer, and she's just freaking incredible. This is her handle if you want to follow her on Twitter. I've learned a lot from her about labor organizing just from, marching with her on the picket lines at Paramount. I have to do something with all the footage I got from the hotel workers picket I went to because they are so impressive. They are incredibly disruptive and loud, and it really is energizing. Even the Teamsters at UPS are gearing up for a strike at the end of the month, which would destroy the supply chain in the US. Because UPS doesn't want to give them fair pay and AC in their trucks. Studios want you to believe that all of these writers and actors who are on strike are just a bunch of rich fucks who are whining, and that could not be further from the truth. The vast majority of writers and actors are not even middle class. They struggle to maintain middle class wages. Many of them are working class. 50% of writers make the minimum. 50% of people should not be making what is the base minimum. Producers Guild has issued a statement standing in solidarity with SAG-AFTRA, and mind you, the Producers Guild is not the same thing as the AMPTP. Disney's Haunted Mansion premiere moved forward on Saturday without any of the actors present. Instead, they used Disney cast members, including Maleficent and Cruella de Vil. A bit on the nose, if you ask me. Also in attendance was the director, though he did not give any interviews. Mind you, the DGA already made their deal with the AMPTP, so while this technically is not scabbing, it is still crossing a picket line. We've talked at length about the whole issue with secondary strikes and no strike clauses, and you can go read about those on Wikipedia if you have more questions, but just know that there are people who have to cross picket lines contractually, and there are people who also have the power and influence to be able to say no. You'll remember early on in the WGA strike, Edie Falco refused to cross the WGA picket line in order to promote something. That's why someone like Kim Kardashian, who crossed the picket line multiple times, got so much shit, because she absolutely had the power and resources not to. This entire time, IATSE members who are the crew and Teamsters who are frequently the drivers have not been crossing WGA picket lines, and that's how these productions have been able to get shut down. But when they do that, they are often taking financial losses. If Teamsters don't make their deliveries, they don't get paid. People like that are making sacrifices in the name of solidarity. Why is it that some of these A-list people are refusing to do so? Both the WGA and SAG-AFTRA on strike right now, there are literally millions of people impacted by the strike. Because yes, it's below the line folks like crew members, but it's also restaurant owners and dry cleaners and everyone else that's involved in this. Which is why it's infuriated so many people that LA Mayor Karen Bass has taken a middle of the road, there are good people on both sides stance regarding the strikes. There are not good people on both sides. Now before I go, I just want to remind everyone to take a breath and take a beat. Please. In the early days of a strike, which is what SAG-AFTRA is in right now, there's a lot of organizing and logistical things that need to get done. The captain structure has to get solidified. It's not quite as robust as what the WGA captain structure is, right? It's going to take some time for things to get off the ground. And anytime you start a panic over on social media, they have to pivot resources from helping members and kind of address what's going on social media. That's not helping the strike. Also say this, the WGA has been on strike for 76 days. If you are just now caring about how to help because the pretty people went on strike, you need to evaluate your own moral compass. Is the reason you care because you actually want to help the strike and you care about not crossing picket lines, or is it because you're afraid you're going to do something on the internet and people are going to get mad at you for it? Because there is a difference. You aspire to be an actor or a writer or honestly any profession in this industry because new groups are unionizing every day. Production workers at Disney are unionizing right now. Writers from MTV's Ridiculousness are just unionized. If you want to work in entertainment, you need to think very carefully about what you align yourself with during this strike. Are you siding with the studios or are you siding with your fellow workers? Now, this was a long one, so thank you for watching. I will see you back on the lines next week.
Welcome to Seen and Heard podcast, and welcome my co-host Chrissy. She just got back from her brief little excursion, family visits, and I wanted to open up purposely with the SAG-AFTRA Writers Strike video where she explained in depth, about what's going on in the industry, because she said she's in the industry. I stand with the writers and the actors that are striking. I stand with you guys. I stand with the UPS workers. I stand with everybody now that is organizing, that is striking and fighting and pushing back against this capitalism, this capitalist monster that we're all, under the boot of. I stand with all you guys. Yay, I'm proud of y'all. Yes. Thoughts, Chrissy?
I mean, she kind of lumped a lot into one. However, I mean, everybody has their, I believe in unions, as I'm a part of one, so I feel like they are your little safe haven when you have unions. So I believe that all companies should have unions, and then the unions fight for them, especially like she brought up the UPS. These people are delivering packages in all kinds of weather, so the fact that we've had where it's 80 something 90 degrees but it feels like 100 degrees, and you're telling me they do not have AC in their trucks and they're supposed to deliver, like, that's ridiculous. um the writers thing, and I can't talk too much on that because I don't know how that system works. I mean, I did read up a little bit on it with the residuals, where when the reruns come and things like that, and how they get paid based on that. So I mean, I did read up on that, and from how I understand it, it's really based on what they sign in their contract, and depending on where the movie and or show or whatever is going to stream, or where it's playing and how it comes out. So I can't really say yes, no, yay, nay on that side of things. I mean, someone in the industry can. So she's in the industry, she's able to talk about it. I mean, I'll stand with them, because if you feel like you're not getting equal pay or righteous pay, you have the right to protest. And striking is a way to protest, to say, listen, I feel like I'm not being treated fairly, and this is how you go about it. So I mean, like I said, I can't really say much on that, but I do feel people have the right to fight for what they feel they deserve.
One thing that I appreciate about all of this too, because over the years, like I'm not in the industry either. I'm not like a SAG member or anything like that, but I have done, because I'm in Nashville, I have worked with agencies, done videos, video work, extra work, background work, things like that. So that's that's like below the people that like have their license and stuff. Which at one point when I was younger, I was striving to become a SAG member just for the sake of like having that card. It wasn't for like having any kind of ambitions of being in Hollywood or anything like that. I just wanted it as an accomplishment. So, but I didn't, of course, like I said, I didn't work that much to work towards that. But still, even where I am in the industry, which is still kind of called the industry, doing the extra work and for videos and movies and stuff. um I like when they talked about when the very first day of the strike, Fran Drescher did her press conference. They just found out that day that the executives proposed taking the background people, extra people, the lower tier people,
Yeah.
like say, okay, actually, I signed up to do like a ESPN like promo. It's just a promo, so I'm not crossing the line or anything like that. But I still worry. Like I haven't heard anything back from them, but I wanted to know if that it was going to be like, are they part of the strike as well, because Tennessee has studios that they do movies and stuff too. But
Okay.
um I what was I say? Oh, being a lower person, so they want to take the extra people and the background people, like what I do. They want to scan us one time because we don't get paid that much at all. Like one time I got paid $75, or I could get paid like 150, depending on, $200, depending on if you're a primary character, which is like a main background character where people see you, that sort of thing. But they want to like get those people that make just like that shy of $200, scan their face, and then pay you the $200, and then forever have your image to where they can use it for anything in the future, and you'll never
And
get
only get paid that 200. No.
just that, right?
See,
So
so yes.
we're yeah, so they're exposing it. This strike is exposing a lot. So that's one of the things I'm worried about, because if I go to this promo, of course, I'm not going to do anything like that. I need the $100, but I'm not going to do that. If I'm going to ask them when I get there, are y'all scanning anybody for anything?
So as an extra, do you have to sign a contract also?
No, 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 no. Like I
Okay.
said, and it depends. So it would depend on if you were like a recurring most of the background and extra people that are recurring characters in different things, they have agents. But I'm freelance. I'm basically freelance. So if I get an email and they say they're looking for this person in this age group to like be an audience member or something like that, then I'll answer it, send in my picture, and respond that way. And then I'll say, okay, you're booked for this spot for this time, and then you'll get paid this much of stuff. So I don't have to really sign a contract
Okay.
or anything like that. But like I still am responsible. Like you have to fill out your tax forms and all that and show your ID. So it's kind of like, like going to a job. But
Mm-hmm.
other than that, like if I did more work, I would have an agent. Like the agent would be getting the jobs and they'd be calling me and saying, hey, there's a job here for you and it pays this much, whatever, like that. But with the agent, then you got to pay a percentage to your agent. I'm freelance. So
Yeah.
I work if I feel like it or if not. But yeah. So this strike is exposing a lot. It's exposing a lot, which I totally appreciate too, because especially I didn't even know the details of that. Like I was one of the ones that assumed, like with that lady from Orange is the New Black. Like I
Mm-hmm.
never watched the show, but I knew it was a top show. And then she shows her residuals and how they itemized her residuals. Like some of them episodes, she got 0 cents, and then one
Yeah,
of
that's
them 1 cent.
crazy.
And I'm looking at that going, they basically rubbing that in her face, and then her total comes out to $27.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I mean, like I said, I only read up on it earlier, and what I did see was like I forget what movie or what show it was, but somebody from a show from in the past where initially was getting like 1, 2 thousand, like $1,000 checks a month because of the reruns, and
Mm.
now the checks are like 100, 200. And again, I forget what show was it, but the person was like, I'm not even counting that. That's just like, oh yay, an extra $100, you know.
That's like
Um,
coins and you find in the
yeah,
couch.
yeah, and it was just basically saying like over the years, because the show is, I really wish I remembered what show it was, but the show was like over 10 years old, so like it's really old. It's like an older show.
Mhm.
So like the first few years he got that much money, and then it slowly started dropping where it's now hundreds of dollars. And again, like I said, I don't know if it's in the contract that spelled out how much he gets after a certain time or how they figured that out, but it's a crazy system. I
But
feel if the show is streaming just as well now as it was before, then they should be still getting paid based like how they were before. Like something like this that's ridiculous.
Well, that's the thing. That's what like she was saying, like what you were saying, what you described, like how his residuals decreased. The reason they decreased was before when it was on network television. That's when he was like getting, it was replaying on network television. That was like
Mhm.
totally different. But now with the streaming, that's where they're having the issues with this streaming, and they're all
Mhm.
now getting pennies and stuff. So that's what the lady in the beginning, that's why I played her video first, because that's
Okay.
what the issue is, and that's what I'm learning, just like you. I had no idea,
Yeah, that
because
streaming
like,
was so yeah.
right, streaming is what is. And so basically with that issue with the streaming, like what they're talking about, that's what the music industry was talking about. Like streaming totally changed the way the
These
artists were
artists are
getting
getting paid.
paid, right? And
Okay.
so that's where the conflict was coming in with these contracts and them getting paid. That's what it is. Now that these executives of the music companies and the Hollywood, TV companies and stuff like that, they saw this and they're like, okay, so they're trying to claw in the power of not allowing the artist to have agency of how much they get paid, because as well as them getting those pennies, if they have an agent, they have to pay their agent. So that's
Mhm.
why that guy you were talking about was saying this is nothing. It's like shaking out couch cushions. It's like
Mhm.
their agent is still uh, obligated to get 10%, 15% of whatever they get paid.
Mhm.
That's crazy. So like when I was watching this one guy, like the Gilmore guy. I think I
Oh,
saw
you
his
mentioned.
video. That's who she was talking about. I actually saw his video, and he's like, I think he's from a acting family because I think he said his mom was an actor too, and now he's an actor. And he said that he's like working middle class. Like he had two jobs, even though he was working on the set. He still had like two other jobs that he had to go to like make, and he wasn't driving like a brand new fancy car or anything. He was driving like a regular car like you and I drive,
Mm-hmm.
and like has kids in school, and then he's got to pay for his medical. Then of course he's got an agent, and they're taking a big chunk, and then he's got to have his lawyer. He's got to have like his personal entertainment lawyer. So like he's paying that, and then barely making his rent. He said rent because he's not making enough to own a house. Like I had no idea all that was going on behind the scenes, and that's what I appreciate about this coming to light too, because a lot of other people didn't know these. Oh,
I mean,
sorry. Okay,
mhm.
go ahead.
Now I'm gonna say, unless you are a big name, I guess that's what's gonna happen when you get into that field. I mean, if you don't make it big like the Halle Berrys, the Denzel Washingtons, um, if you don't make it big like these people, then that's the risk you take.
Now with the Denzel Washingtons and like Halle Berry's and those kind of A-list artists and stuff, it especially if they weren't like nepotism based, because a lot of the A-list actors and actresses that we see, they were born into families that were already in Hollywood, so they not necessarily had to. I don't want to. I'm not
It, it,
speaking for them
it
or
may have
anything
made
like
it
that.
easier for them,
Right.
but then they also did have to have some kind of talent
Mm-hmm,
to
mm-hmm,
get these parts.
mm-hmm,
So yeah, it's kind of like when that like your grandfathered in a sense.
mm-hmm,
When you think about it that way, they maybe that's the path they wanted to take. They have, like you said, other family members, or it's a family that is into acting. So yeah, they may have been grandfathered in, ushered in, but to maintain it, you have to have some kind of talent. You have to be
mm-hmm,
good at what you do. And it just so happened that maybe with them having the family, they had better resources
and
for
connections.
coaches and
Mm-hmm,
whatever else, on top of their natural given ability, and
mm-hmm,
then the coaches to help them cry on cue or cry better or make it more
mm-hmm,
realistic or whatever the case is,
mm-hmm,
plus their family to go over lines with them and whatever.
mm-hmm.
Maybe that just made it easier and allowed them to skyrocket a little bit better. But I mean, getting
It's
into
just
that, or
yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
yeah, it's one of those, but that's something that I guess, like any job, you got to do your research with certain things.
Mm-hmm,
Like that's what I'm saying. Like I can't talk much about it because I can't say what's a fair pay and what's this, because I'm not in that field. So I don't know what they should be getting, what they were getting paid before. I have nothing to compare it to. But if I'm talking about something, a field I've done before, like customer service, or I'm working with the courts now and things like that, I could talk a little bit about that because that's what I've been in. I can
mm-hmm.
compare what I used to get paid before, what I'm getting paid now, and how they do their salaries. I can compare stuff like that. I can't in this regards, but like I said, um, that's that's something they have to know getting into it, especially like you said, if they don't come from a family.
But as far as look, this dog on camera. But as far as like your perspective um as a consumer of TV and movies and stuff like that, still your uh how what you think of how you're looking at it from the outside is valuable too. What the how you feel and is valuable as well, because they're looking for feedback from the people that consume their work. So like what you have to say is just as valuable as somebody that's actually in it too, because just like like what you're saying, like you don't know about it. And then like even me, I didn't know a lot of what was going on behind the scenes too. So now I'm watching and I'm listening to them
Mm-hmm.
because they're explaining this stuff to me. It's like, oh, I had no idea that it went
Yeah.
like that. So now it lets me understand more of, because all of us are under the illusion that everything that everybody that's involved in that industry is all glamour, gold, and everything like that, and that everything comes so easy to them. I knew it was hard in a sense. I wasn't under the illusion or naive to think
Yeah.
that it was all super easy or anything like
Yeah.
that. But Hollywood, these executives at Hollywood, they basically packaged the way they packaged uh, the the industry and how the artists are seen and perceived. That curtain has just been yanked back.
Yeah.
And I, like I said, I that's one thing that I appreciate about this strike, because now we're all on the same team, basically, is what she was saying. UPS,
Yeah.
the working class in Hollywood, us regular people down here,
Like even, yeah.
we're all on the same team. We're fighting the same monster.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're all
At the
fighting
end
the
of the
same
day,
monster.
the head of the game
Hmm.
wants to capitalize on what they get, and they're being stingy and penny pinching for everybody else that makes it possible for them,
Right.
basically. Yeah.
Because okay, if they put them out of business, if they let's say hypothetically they get rid of all of the
What they could do
uh
is go to Tyler Perry. Everybody moves.
well,
Everybody
see,
go along to Tyler
he,
Perry.
he's being kind of quiet. I hadn't heard nothing from him, but we'll get into that in another podcast. I'm okay. So this video I saw, which the guy was making a good point. It's like, okay, if all of these industries put people out of work, put humans out of work, um, and they expect that the executives and these corporations still expect to make money. You can't make any money if there are no humans left to have money to spend money on your product. If you've replaced them all with artificial intelligence and robots,
Well,
because
let their billionaire friends and millionaire friends let them buy up their product and support them.
right,
Just
well,
let
yeah,
them
we can look
support
at
them.
it, but yeah, but even still, that leaves us in a spot because we still need money because they made the rules that we need money to buy soap, toothpaste, food,
No, yeah,
that yeah, so stuff
you
like
buy
that.
the
So
necessities
yeah, so we'll be still SOL,
and
you
or
know.
like I saw this girl today on Instagram. Somebody posted on their story the girl doing like this facial thing where she steamed her face and whatever. So now I went to her page because it was like, oh, and she makes all her products that she used for her face, and she makes soaps and from cacti and all kinds of stuff. So people just have to go that route. Yeah, you
And look, I don't
better learn.
mind doing that. I
That's what
don't
I'm
mind
saying.
doing
People gonna have to learn to make your own soap from hibiscus and from this and make your own,
I don't mind not one bit because
and or support somebody that makes it.
right.
You
So
know,
I
like
mean, it's looking like we might have to do that because that Bob Iger is saying, basically he said in the wide open on that interview. Remember, he said, "I want to starve the actors and the workers and the writers. I want to starve them and have them lose their homes." He actually said that. Let me see if I can find that video. He actually said,
that's why they striking. And what's gonna
mhm.
happen? I've heard the name. What exactly is his
Bob
title?
Iger. He's the
No, I know the name, but I can't.
Disney. Disney.
Oh, the Disney
Uh-huh.
guy. Yeah.
Disney.
I mean, if people stop watching ABC, if people stop going to Disney, if people stop, you know what I mean,
Hmm.
eventually it'll get to the point where the same actors, they have followings,
Hmm.
and it's up to them to reach out to their followers and say, listen, we need to band together. Ba ba ba. This is, and because they have platforms, they're gonna get the followers. Right now, all we know is there is a strike, but I haven't seen any of these actors. Like you're talking about the Fran Drescher thing. I haven't seen it. I like personally come across it. And I look at a lot of these like
You haven't seen?
reality
Okay,
and
hold on a second. I think I'm gonna pull it up. So go ahead and keep talking. I'm gonna
yeah.
pull it up. I think I
But I
still
mean, like
have it.
I see a lot of these reality stuff, and if I see somebody I recognize, I'll go and click on things, you know. So like, I mean, I would see it on social media. I have not noticeably seen anybody outright really talking about this. I mean, you just hear the little clippings on the news about the strike and like little stuff, but that's it. But if these celebrities took to their platforms and if they all started coming to their platforms, reaching out, it would be something seen more. And I think people would actually take notice and band together.
Now, and I think that that's another issue too with these scandalous studios where I think the lady said in the video where some people they have it where because not all of the contracts are the same, not all of the
Yeah,
actors'
they're all
contracts
different.
are the same. So some of them are sitting back waiting to hear from maybe their agent or their personal entertainment lawyer because like I said, like the big stars they have to have like some kind of attorney on hand where they won't be stepping over finding out
Breaching the
what they can
contract. Yeah.
can do. Let me
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, because no, that's what the residual thing like briefly mentioned, like because there are different types of contracts based on if it's a network show or this and series and blah blah blah, like all that kind of stuff. And then if it,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's confusing.
and then it goes into like, okay, if it starts off as a movie and then it jumps into Netflix afterwards, then they get this amount and like, oh, it didn't say a specific amount, but they say usually the contract supposedly is supposed to break it down based on if it's a movie that then goes to streaming and then this and or if it goes to network after coming out. It's a whole to do. It's a whole to do. And
Okay, I found one clip of Fran. It's not the whole thing because I did on the last podcast. So listeners out there, you guys, I do have the full clip of Fran Drescher's press conference on the last podcast. So if you guys go to my playlist, my podcast playlist, you could find that podcast and listen to it. But I did find this one little clip of Fran addressing kind of what we were just talking about.
yeah.
So hold on just a second. Let me pull this up.
I cannot believe it, quite frankly, how far apart we are on so many things, how they plead poverty, that they're losing money left and right when giving hundreds of millions of dollars to their CEOs. It is disgusting. Shame on them. They stand on the wrong side of history at this very moment. We stand in solidarity, in unprecedented unity. Our union and our sister unions and the unions around the world are standing by us, as well as other labor unions. Because at some point, the jig is up. You cannot keep being dwindled and marginalized and disrespected and dishonored. The entire business model has been changed by streaming, digital, AI. This is a moment of history that is a moment of truth. If we don't stand tall right now, we are all going to be in trouble. We are all going to be in jeopardy of being replaced by machines and big business. Who cares more about Wall Street than you and your family? Most of Americans don't have more than $500 in an emergency.
So this is what I was talking about, like how important this movement is right now, how historic this is, because the last time they did this was 60 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The mainstream news is not covering this because they don't want people being aware of what's going on. Because a lot of people, if we once we get done with this broadcast and then we go out in the world like tomorrow, like people you come across at work may not even know what's going on with this because they haven't seen it on the regular news. What have we seen on the news? Them wasting our time, them talking about dumb drunk. You know, they're wasting our time talking him up still. Like he's inconsequential.
And it's crazy when you think about like what she said. They paying their CEOs hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever it is. When you think about billionaires who had money to waste to go in a submersible, you know,
Or the
that
space.
was not even okayed for the, you know, and the amount of money spent looking for them, knowing that they had already been gone, you know, because the Navy or whoever heard the sounds and heard it, whatever, all of that. You think about the amount of money they wasted, and you're talking about you can't pay these actors and writers and everybody else more. Y'all got money to waste. Obviously, we got money to waste. Wasted so much money looking for these people that was already gone within an hour after taking off.
Right.
After going into this water, they was already gone.
And they used all that as a distraction.
You got money to send. You got money to send Ukraine. You got money for everybody else's business, but the people that live here. If that's the case, you might as well go to Ukraine and get benefit from some of that money.
Right.
Join their army and help get some of that money. Like, come on. This is ridiculous.
It does not make any sense. Like you said, it just does not make any sense. It's like now, but the fact that we are talking about this, because like I said, we're going to keep talking about this, and because mainstream media, it's just so ridiculous. Well, and it's not shocking anymore because we know what's up. We know that there are 6 white-owned net. All of the networks are owned by 6 white billionaires. They're oligarchs. They don't want to pay taxes. So now they've just like swamped the airwaves with just Trump talk 24/7. All of the anchors and pundits have sold their soul to just talk Trump 24/7. This strike, this UPS worker strike that's coming up, and then there's it's another strike, like a medical strike with these nurses and doctors and stuff. They're not talking about any of this because they don't want to give anybody else any ideas. I mean, but it's too late because we're going to keep talking about it because people need to be aware.
Well, the biggest one is going to be if there's a medical strike, because we had nurses striking here and it lasted a couple of days and they had to hurry up, and because that's life or death.
Right.
So if medical staff and more medical staff start striking because they feel like they're overworked and underpaid, which yes, a lot of them are, because again, this is life or death. So how do you put a monetary value and say they don't deserve more, especially once COVID hit? Like that was the pivotal point. They take an oath and they do all of this and they go into these, but if you don't want to pay them, then what? Do you want them to start retiring? Do you want healthy nurses to start retiring because they can't get paid? Or do you want doctors to start retiring? Then you're in a worse situation. Pay them what they deserve. Pay them. Like the cost of living is going up. Everything is going up. Inflation is here. Inflate their paychecks because we need them. They don't need us at the end of the day to survive. We need them because if we have to go to the hospital, they're the ones that got to take care of us. So we need them. They know what to do to help our bodies. We don't.
See, now they're at risk of losing their licenses for treating people that need legitimate treatment because of these red lunatic GOP legislators that are threatening them with jail time, prison time for giving women legitimate health care because it's the health care that they don't want them to have.
Well, that's why they end up going to states that cover it and going to states that allow it.
There are hospitals here in Tennessee that have been closing back to back, like in the most needed areas. There are hospitals that are just closing their doors, but because they have no choice but to close.
Yep.
I mean,
And what ends up happening is a lot of those nurses and things, they become traveling nurses because
mhm,
then they can go to other states and work in other states and get paid more as being a traveling nurse. Doctors, it's easier for them to go to other hospitals and whatever where they may be needed. And if they wanted to move to another state, then they work on that process, but that's when they end up, if they're not ready to retire, they end up becoming traveling nurses.
mhm.
And there are a lot of traveling nurses that come to New York and come all over the place because it's needed.
But then
Oh,
where
the
does that
nurses are
leave
threatening
people
to
like
strike,
me?
huh?
Where does that leave people like me? Like there we first of all, there are people out down here like me that didn't vote for this mess. But we're being held hostage. We're being held hostage. And then we can't we're in a situation where we can't make enough money at whatever job we're doing. Even if we're working, we can't make enough money to save. So we're able to leave. We're literally held hostage in a
Mm-hmm.
situation that we didn't ask for. And then like in the process we're gonna suffer. And then the people that are in power that could do something about it aren't doing anything. That's the most infuriating part of this too. It's like they're sitting back, it's like, wait a minute, what, you're in a position to do something, slow it down or whatever, counter whatever is going on, and they're
Mm-hmm.
not doing a doggone thing about it. So that is a hostage situation then, because the people like me, we don't have any power. We used our power at the voting booth. We don't have anything that we could do past that, especially if we're not millionaires. Yeah, we can make calls. I've done that. We can send emails. I've done that. We can, tweet. I've done that. Okay. They're not, but nobody's doing nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like we're not doing anything. Or at least for me, I'm speaking for myself because
Yeah.
I am. I'm trying. But I'm like nobody. I don't have millions of dollars. I'm not a politician. I'm not a celebrity. I'm just a regular schmo.
Mm-hmm.
you know, that don't even want to be here, but I'm stuck here. So while I'm stuck here, I'm gonna try to make the best of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to segue into a trending video. There was a trending video earlier today on Twitter. Now, I had never seen the video before, and for context, I want to let everybody know because I almost fell victim to it, to thinking it was just a recent video, which it was not a recent video. It happened what, 3-4 years ago. This
Yeah.
is this is a video that was from 3 or 4 years ago, but it was of a lady. I don't know how somebody had leaked it, and it started to trend on Twitter today. And so everybody, I was watching the feed on Twitter, and everybody was just like, "Oh, that's a Moms for Liberty type person." So we are, not one for misinformation. So Chrissy and I checked to find out, where this video was and how long it was, and we found out that it wasn't a Moms for Liberty. Somebody was trying to use that as you know, if it came from somebody on the left, you're defeating the the fight that we're trying to fight the good fight, okay? Because you're using this video from 4 years ago, whoever it was that released this video, trying to make a point for people on the left or progressives. That makes the left and progressives look bad, trying to make it like it was a recent video, which it was not a recent video, and it's not a Moms for Liberty member, or yeah, one of those moms. But she kind of acts, when you see the video, she kind of acts like one of those Moms for Liberty, rabbit foaming at the mouth women. It's actually funny. So I'm gonna play the video of. Let me see. I'm gonna play the first clip. Okay, this is the first part of the first clip, and then I'm gonna play the video of her on Dr. Phil. So this is, hold on a second. This is the first clip. This is the first clip that I saw. So everybody was, being misinformed. Once again, we're not about misinformation. So I wanted to the correct the message here.
I found the no trespassing order that I got from the school. You want to hear something? I'm suing the fucking elementary school. I'm suing Roseau County School. I'm fucking shutting that whole entire fucking school. Amy McGuire, principal, Roseau Elementary School. Guess what, Amy? You're never gonna be able to work in elementary ever again when I'm fucking done with you. Fucking wanna say that you're a principal to fucking kids? I just fucking broke my bracelet. That's how fucking angry I am. You wanna fucking lie, Miss McGuire? Do you wanna fucking lie? Do you? Let's look at this fucking no trespassing order. Why do we? Not checking in an elementary office of noticing us of your visits in advance. That wasn't the fucking agreement! Now was it? You fucking cunt bitch motherfucking psychopathic principal! Was it the agreement? No, because I didn't make the agreement with you, you fucking bitch! I didn't make the fucking agreement with you when I called the fucking school. When I got the okay. They fucking told me all you have to do is come to the office and sign in. And guess what, you fucking bitch? I fucking signed in every fucking time. You wanna know why? Because I'm never retarded enough not to. Because of Ren. You fucking psycho bitch. Fuck you! Those are my children! Not remaining in lunchroom commons or the space in the office. Oh, excuse me, you fucking douchebag bitch! Fucking busted again! Aren't you? Aren't you, you fucking bitch? That wasn't agreed upon in certain places. At all! At all! At all! And I went back to the fucking police station. I did!
Okay, like I said, the, the point of me playing that video was to correct
Narrative.
the narrative. Correct the narrative. If someone, because we don't know who all of a sudden just released, they were probably bored today and thought, oh, hey, let's release this video and start a meme all trending all over Twitter. But the point of me playing this video was to show, number one, white privilege. Okay. A black woman never would have gotten the benefit of the doubt for that kind of behavior. Now, this woman's name was Cassandra Maxwell of Roseau, Minnesota. She posted this video, which went viral, and she recorded herself in her car after a run-in with the local sheriff at her kids' elementary school and proceeded to lash out at the school and mainly the principal. According to what she said in the video, she apparently was served a no trespassing order by the sheriff in front of her kids at the school due to not following proper protocol at the school and for taking pictures of her kids on school grounds. She, of course, defends her actions, claiming she has done nothing wrong. Typical. For the record, Roseau is a very small town with a population of only 2,800 people, located just minutes from the Canadian border. By the looks of the city's website, they only have one school in the whole town for elementary through high school. According to City Page's Sheriff Steve Gust, he said she hasn't yet filed suit against the department. Besides her language, nothing she's been doing has been threatening, let alone dangerous. Okay, I beg differ there. Also, after she posted that video and it went viral, the school went into lockdown because of her behavior, which obviously so they did the right thing. Because these days you don't know if somebody, one of these crazed parents, now that they got these lax gun laws, they might have a gun in their car, which actually was another story with a father that got mad at a school, and he stormed out to his car and went to go get a gun. They saw him through the window and they locked the school, so he wasn't able to get in. So tragedy was averted that day. But yeah, so the whole school had to go on lockdown because of this lady. um, but like yeah, so we had to alert everybody that did, if y'all did see this video today, just like me. I thought it was recent, and she I don't know if she, obviously I don't know if she's a Moms for Liberty, because it's been what 3-4 years now, so she may be a member of one of the sects that's spreading across the United States, but I don't know that for sure. And the person that released this video, they were trying to use it as saying that was one of the Moms for Liberty, and with all the issues that we have for Moms with Liberty, we can't put out stuff like this if people are going to take us seriously in our fight. This
especially
kind of,
without receipts.
exactly, this defeats the purpose. So that's why we both made a point of finding out what was going on with this, because it was just trending too fast. So now I'm going to play the Dr. Phil video that has her. She's on the show, and just notice the reaction from the audience, because like I said, this is peak white privilege, because a woman of color never would have got the benefit of the doubt for her behavior like this. So let me pull this up here.
After I found the no trespassing order that I got from the school. You want to hear something? I'm suing the school. I'm suing the school. I'm shutting that whole entire school. You're never going to be able to work in elementary ever again when I'm done with you. Want to say that you're a principal to kids? I just broke my bracelet. That's how angry I am. Those are my children! Begged me to watch her play! Begged! That is the best interest of the child, to let me watch her play because she begged. Yeah, I am a little bit crazy. It's my babies, you piece of who the do you think you are? You're done in education. Done! Suing you big for serving this to me.
It's a little shocking to see that played back.
Yeah, that's the reason I stopped it, because you've watched this up to the point where you broke your bracelet.
Yeah, basically.
But you've not seen it beyond there.
No.
What's your reaction?
I was really mad. I was really mad.
What got you so upset that you started live streaming, and who was your intended audience?
Well, my intended audience was my friends. I was served a no trespassing order from my kids' school.
Right.
And that was the reason why I was so mad, is because I could not go to see my kids at their school anymore.
You were addressing
Yep.
the school and
Yep.
school officials.
Just kind of venting.
Directly to them.
It was just more or less like my reaction to what happened. I just went live.
Let's pick up where you're reading this, what you were served.
Sure.
Let's take a look.
In front of my son! He was panicking because there was a sheriff there! You better take a step back, because I'm taking you down big!
That was directed at the person that ran the school.
Yep.
And you were very frustrated with that person.
Yep, the elementary principal.
Yeah. I thought I'd just break this out, because you've seen the energy that you had, but here are some of the things that you said. You're never going to be able to work in elementary education ever again when I'm bleeping done with you. I'm suing the bleeping bleep out of bleeping you. Suing you bleeping big for bleeping, serving this to me in front of my bleeping son. You bleeping bleep bitch bleeping psychopathic principal. I didn't make this agreement with you, you bleeping bitch. You bleeping psycho bitch, bleep you. Those are my children. Oh, excuse me, you bleeping bitch. Bleeping busted again, aren't you? A couple things. You might want to work on your vocabulary.
A little bit.
Because you're kind of defaulting to a small vocabulary. But looking back at your behavior and conduct,
I could have probably behaved a little bit better.
A little bit better.
Yeah. I mean, not swear quite as much.
How did that end, by the way? This went on for 7.5 minutes, and then you signed off.
Yep, and then I just went home.
So you did this, and then
I went to the coffee shop, I'm pretty sure, after that.
drove home, picked up a latte, just went on about your business.
Yep.
They called the police when they saw this, and the school went on lockdown
Oh,
because they were scared, based on what they saw, that you might come back and do something violent or erratic.
oh, I had no idea.
This is a police report. Cassandra, source of activity background. Principal stated trying to send Cassandra a no trespass order. Officer's observation and investigation. Went to school cafeteria at approximately 11:40 and found Cassandra kneeling next to a table with children. Explained, had a no trespass order, so Cassie needs to leave the premises. Chief Deputy trying to direct Cassie to the parking lot from the hallway by having his hands on her tricep area. Cassie started shouting and swearing inside the school,
In the hallway.
which is inside the school.
Yeah, away from the children.
Right. Walking to her vehicle, waving arms and shouting so loud it sounded like screams. That's outside now. School going into a mild lockdown. You shook some people up.
I mean, that was peak white privilege because like no woman of color would have gotten away with any of that.
And regardless of how valid, they would have been to her house with a search warrant to search to see if it was a black woman. They would have been to our house searching to see if we had any manifestos, if we had any plans, if we had any guns, if we had any this.
Drugs.
They would have been searching for everything based on that rant. Meanwhile, we skipping down the street because now we're over it. Even though we're still frustrated, we went to go get a double shot espresso, and we skipping down the street minding our business, and they busting down our door because we black.
Right.
She gonna do the same thing. She can go home. But it's funny how you see how she's like, oh, I didn't know that.
Right.
But when you think about it as a parent, I'm not a parent, but I would be this way with my nieces and nephews. Like you're protective of your child.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be frustrating if you have an agreement with some part of the school and you're doing this, and now all of a sudden they're like, oh no, you're trespassing because you didn't follow protocol. But if I had an agreement with, let's say, the assistant principal or whoever was talking to me. Now, if I was supposed to talk to the principal, whoever made this agreement with me should have said, well, you need to speak to the principal. The school should have directed her to the proper channels.
Right, but that kind of behavior still, regardless of that, like you said, yes, we're protective of our flesh. But I could say for like my experience when my kids were in school, if I or their dad wanted to go see them at school, we had to call the school, make an appointment, say this is such and such, mom, I wanted to come and have lunch, because they do allow parents to do that, but you had to call ahead and say, hey, I am so and so's mom, and I want to come and have lunch with them, so they'll know. And then when you get there, you check in, regardless of whoever it is, like the principal, anybody, whoever's in charge at the counter. You sign in. You have to sign in so they know that you're on the premises. In the building.
I don't recall if she made the phone call, but she did say every time she goes, she signs in. Mm-hmm. So where's the problem there?
Right.
Okay, if she didn't make the phone call, but she's still coming to sign in, at that point, it's, what are you here for?
See, there's the missing context, because what was she doing when she was leaning down with those kids? There was obviously something wrong with her from what we saw in the
No, they
video.
didn't. She wasn't
But
laying down. She was sitting
no,
or squatting next to the
squatting
kid's
and taking
table or
pictures.
whatever it
But
was.
so I could only imagine, maybe from what I saw in that video, maybe she was doing something or saying something or kind of getting loud around all these other kids, and then somebody saw it and was like, okay, they tried to ask her calmly to leave, and then she freaked out more and more and more and more.
But
Because
then to go and say, if that was the case, then it's not about protocol, which they put in that no trespassing, saying she didn't follow protocol.
and see, then again, it could have been like a child what do they call it? Child uh with the parents that are divorced, the child
custody.
custody. It could have had something to do with that. But it had to been, there's something that we're missing
Something
in,
that we don't know,
there's
because
something we don't know.
it doesn't add up, where you're
Right,
saying,
because there
you're saying,
had to have been a reason for them to try to be getting her to get out of the school. Like, we're missing something.
and there could be a legit reason. However, based on what they put in the no trespassing thing, saying she didn't follow protocol and blah blah blah, like, but she checked in. And at that point, she shouldn't have been allowed to go any further if she wasn't following protocol. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
How do you let her come and check in and then still go to the lunchroom and cafeteria where I guess one of her children may have been, and she might have been by that table? Like, how do you let her move? Yeah.
But the thing is, sometimes there wouldn't be anybody. Like, if you were going to school, I don't know about their school, but sometimes if you go in, there may not be anybody at the counter, but there'll be the sign-in thing. So she probably signed in, and there was nobody there, and then maybe when they came in and saw her, and they were like, "Oh wait, we didn't see her coming through," and then they probably tried to talk to her, and then she like flips out that way, or maybe they smell alcohol on her or something. It's something we don't know.
But I think if there was alcohol, they would have addressed that in the no trespassing. Also, saying that she's on the premises under the influence, that definitely would be a cause for, like, you're trespassing and not to come back.
Yeah, something missing though. It's something.
That's what exactly.
Because,
like there's some parts to it that we don't know, and the only context we got is off of her ranting, angry parent
I mean, that was something there. I probably should have just played that video there. I apologize to you guys for the profanity, because I didn't have like a little bleeping out thing. I apologize.
I don't think you would have been able to bleep fast enough.
I was like, maybe I could like mute it. I was looking at the mute button, but I apologize to you guys for that. And like I said, I wanted to clear the air and straighten out that the narrative surrounding that trending video today, because like I said, a lot of people thought that it was a recent video, and that video was like 3-4 years ago.
It was 4 years ago, as you saw. They said on the Dr. Phil thing, it actually had the date of incident as 4/24/19.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, that was 4 years ago. But also, I mean, I don't know how old she is. She looked on the younger side. It's elementary, so her kids are younger. And I mean, and obviously she's on Dr. Phil, or was on Dr. Phil, for a reason, because there are probably underlying issues outside of how was she raised. You know what I mean? That may have been how she witnessed her mother, father, or somebody, and that's how she reacts. I mean, depending.
Could you imagine though that she said that she was doing that video for her friends on Facebook? So somebody reported that video. So one of her friends,
if your page is not necessarily, if your page ain't private, if your page is not private, and maybe a fellow parent, maybe she's friends with a fellow parent in the school, and they saw that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
somebody reported that they were like, wait.
So that's not necessarily that might not necessarily be a friend per se, but if your page is not private and it comes up, and then also with hashtags and stuff, so maybe it came. You don't know. We haven't seen it,
but the fact that the school had to go on lockdown, though, that's what I'm saying. There's something we're missing. That where that particular day that they had
the principal was afraid for her life. It wasn't about the kid's life. The principal was scared that she was going to get beat up. That's what it was.
Oh no!
The principal was scared. The principal was scared she was going to get beat up. That's why she called. That
That
no,
school
but
could have had a lot.
that's why. That's
lawsuit.
no. She knew nothing gonna happen to them kids. She was afraid that she was gonna come and find her at her car waiting. So she called the sheriffs to make it seem like, oh, we need to go on lockdown because I think she's gonna come harm this. No, the principal was afraid for her life. That's what it was. That's that envelopian privilege. The principal was afraid for her life. She didn't care about them kids. She was afraid for her life.
She'll need to be around those kids. Wait a minute. One of my friends actually said that on Twitter. Let me find her tweet. She said this lady, let me see. She said, where is it?
About the mother?
She said something about, she said, well, once again, children of the court are still unhinged. She should not be allowed near children, pets, nature, and sane human beings.
I mean,
that's my friend from the UK.
To me, the funny part about that, the only funny part is the children of the corn thing. But I don't think it's funny to talk about her parenting because we don't know how she is as a parent. She was venting in her car about a situation that none of us witnessed. We didn't even witness the situation.
That did look sane.
All we witnessed was her venting.
Yeah, right. That was sane though. But
when it comes to your children and you're venting about a situation that just happened where they're telling you cannot come see your child at school. That's all she's thinking. I have my 2 little kids in this school. I want to come see them. I've come before, and now all of a sudden they're telling me I cannot come see my children.
I get that, but there are
no. So what I'm saying is, that's why I said they're underlying
like that around my child. Even though her kids are there, unfortunately, her kids are there next to my kids. I would not want some woman like that.
I'm not saying she's supposed to be there. What I'm saying is the person who is talking about her parenting should not be talking about her parenting because we do not know. All we saw is her venting that she was no longer able to see her child because she was served with a no trespassing at the school. Not her child, her children. That's all we know. And we saw her go off the hinge. We don't know if anything else happened before that. We don't know if there was something that happened, what made her decide to go see the kids at school that day. She said one of the children wanted her to watch them play, whatever it was. We don't know what started. We don't know how her day was going before. All we saw is when she was obviously at her breaking point and she was venting. That don't mean she is like that at home. We don't know. We really don't know. And I would not assume that she's like that at home because she's happy with her children. She was not happy with this adult and the situation with the adult and with the police in front of her children. Because even when she talking about serving me in front of my fucking son, because kids know police as for bad people or stuff, mainly, especially when they're little. So now he sees a officer who deals with bad people giving my mommy a paper and taking her away. That's traumatizing for a child in and of itself if they don't know any better either.
Right, for every child.
So she also has to go home now. After that whole situation died down, when her son came home, she had to go and explain to her son what happened in a way for him to understand that no, and yes, mommy was upset. And yes, mommy was yelling when she left because she wanted to stay with you or however it happened. She has to now explain to her young child, this police officer walking her out.
But on top of that, for a good parent would also be like, because the kids are going to see that video because their friends would be like, oh, look, this is your mama. A good parent would be like, this is not how you react when you get, in a situation.
And that was 4 years.
Hopefully she taught her child that this is not how you react.
No, and again, she went to Dr. Phil after the situation. And that was the first time she actually saw more of the video from what she said than she's watched before. Because he said, you haven't seen past when you talk about your bracelet breaking. She was like, no. So she didn't.
I don't know how much of that I believe, though.
I don't know. I mean, she could have been embarrassed. Like she said, she was embarrassed. So when she started watching it back, and then think about it, you're embarrassed watching yourself back and you broke your bracelet and you're like, no, I broke my bracelet. Yeah, that's embarrassed. She probably was like, okay, I need to cut this off. Right? Because right there, she must have realized, all right, I'm off the hinges right now because I'm talking about my bracelet breaking. You know what I mean? But like, we don't even know if she had to talk to her children, or we don't know how, if she, because that might not necessarily be something you explain to your child at that point, because depending on how old they are. But now it's resurfacing. This may have to be a conversation.
It's gonna have to be a conversation
because the child is 4 years. Her children are 4 years older, so now they definitely understand a little bit more.
Right.
So if not before, if not then, definitely now is a time to have the conversation about you don't react like this.
We got no choice now because
exactly.
She got no choice. She got no choice. So how she handles it from this point on, because it went fast today. Like I just saw it like in a couple of tweets, and then when we started talking about it, then when I went back on there, it was like every other tweet was this video, and then I kept seeing them using, and then when you were saying, oh, this is a few years ago, because you went through the comments, because I was too traumatized watching the video, I didn't even read the comments, and then I was like,
but see, like you said, you couldn't even watch the whole other parts of it. So how you think she felt watching herself back? People like,
I was like,
that's what I'm saying. She must have felt that same way, like, oh my God. And then
that's why,
and then like they said, this is a county of only 2,000 something people, one school.
Yeah, so that's why I thought that we should do a video about this video, because we're trying to combat misinformation, and like from what I saw again, they were trying to use that video to like I said, with whatever issues that we have or differences that we have with this Moms for Liberty Hitler women's group, we got issues with them. We have legitimate gripes with these people, but it's not going to serve our purpose and our fight well if we're using videos just to make up stuff and say that this lady that was in this video is a member of the Moms for Liberty. That's going to, people are not going to take us seriously.
But you know what actually just triggered in my head also? I just thought about this. Dr. Phil also said her venting went on for about 7 minutes. We only saw 2 minutes of it. So in all reality, we don't know what else may have happened in the rest of that video. So I mean, that other 5 minutes may have been something else. But I mean, at the same time, I don't know how much worse it was, because I feel like the way he broke it down, if it was that, I don't know the whole backstory or whatever the situation with the Moms for Liberty, but if it was the way people are trying to weaponize this old video to make it fit a narrative of their current issues.
Yeah, see, we can't do that. We can't do that if we're going to be taken seriously. For, like I said, we have legitimate gripes and worries and concerns about the Moms for Liberty because they're Nazis. But using somebody's video to try to make a point that defeats the purpose. Nobody's going to take us seriously if we're using old footage of somebody that has nothing to do with Moms for Liberty. From what we saw in this video, she was just a distressed mom, having a fit in the car. She's not. That was 4 years ago. Don't say that she's part of Moms for Liberty.
Yeah.
We can't fight like that.
Like I said, I mean, if there's receipts, then not a problem.
Right. But yeah, this is too crucial a moment in our time of governance or in this country to be doing stuff like that, because like I said, like every little bit of legitimacy, we have to fight with every bit of legitimacy that we have, because this might be the last. I know they said that the last election cycle, but literally this might be our last legitimate election cycle, because the way the Republicans are going, they are seizing power all over this country with these legislatures and stuff. So we have to fight a legitimate fight. We could fight hard, but don't fight with a lie. You cannot build a foundation of strength on lies. So.
Yeah.
So with that said, if you like our program, we have Cash App scan here. You can scan the QR code here and support us in our broadcast. We also have merchandise, which, let's see, here we go. Coffee mug. Here's a coffee mug. Chrissy's, you're going to get one in the mail. Nice coffee mug. Sip some tea. And fight the good fight. And
Right.
we will return on our next podcast this week. We're going to do one more this week. And let me see here. I didn't have another one to pull up. So with that said, we will see you guys on the next broadcast. And we'll thank you, Chrissy, for joining me tonight. And maybe next time we'll have our other cohort, Charles, on here with us. We miss Charles too. We should have told him to come on tonight, but I think he's busy with the class. So we'll see him on the next time. So in the meantime, though, if you also like to leave us a comment, leave love letters for Chrissy, love letters for Charles. Y'all leave us a comment. I like answering your comments. Thanks for leaving comments under the videos. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you guys on the next wait, let me pull this up here. We'll see you guys on the next
Podcast.
next podcast.
Thanks for supporting.
Thank you.